Oh my god, the host just triple sat me.
You see who's food running today?
56 was just sitting there making out the entire time I was trying to take
Why do we have
orders.
so many servers on the floor? Did you hear about 73?
This is a work of fiction. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events, is purely coincidental.
Oh my god, you would have freaked out the other day.
Why?
I was getting ready for work, and you know those Japanese beetles? The ones you absolutely fucking hate.
They're terrifying.
They're harmless. They're so cute. They're just shiny and pretty, and they can't bite you.
No, but they fly into your face.
Oh my, they can't see. They're blind.
I do.
Okay, so one was flying around where I was. I had my car door open. I was standing, and I was like tucking in my shirt and everything, getting ready to go into work. And this beetle's flying around me, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, bud?" And he comes and he lands on my sleeve.
Gross.
And and all I'm thinking is, Cat would freak out right now.
I would fucking hate that.
And so then I'm like, you get out of here. And what does he do? He flies into my car. And I'm like,
You son of a bitch.
you motherfucker. I had 2 minutes till I had to clock in. Like, I don't have time to get you out of my car. So I'm just like,
Does he just live in your car now?
I'm just like, come on, man. And he circles, he goes, bzzz, and then out the door again. I go, oh, fucking thank you. And I shut the door.
I was about to say, I'm never going in your car again.
I wasn't even done getting my stuff. Well, and it was a really hot day. So all I thought was, bro, you're going to die. Like, I'm not leaving my windows down for you. You're going to die. So I was just like, come on, man. And he's like, zzz, and right back out. And I go, cool. Thank you.
Fucking asshole.
I don't want to kill you.
There's a cricket going ham right now out there.
He is having a day.
He is.
He has stuff to say.
He's singing
Should
the
we
song
have him
of his
as a
people.
guest? These motherfuckers out here. Trying to step on me and shit.
Stop it.
Oh.
Oh, well, welcome back to Rolling Silverware.
Yep.
My name's Kat,
I'm Bunny.
and this is our season finale.
Season finale, post-shift shit talk.
Yeah, we're just going to take a couple weeks, kind of regroup, get shit together.
I think you guys have heard enough for this season.
Yeah, we'll get a couple good stories under our belt, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, we do have lives to live outside of just talking shit.
Yeah, I mean,
A
speak
little.
for yourself.
I have stuff to do. Kinda. Laundry.
I have laundry.
All day today I have dealt with just like people fucking suck. Like that's my whole day. It's just like I hate people. And then I had to come and clock into work. People fucking suck. So let's get into it.
A little bit of pre-shift.
Yeah, pre-shift.
This whole weekend we have not worked a shift together.
Not a single one. I had yesterday off. I had a Saturday off.
Yeah, you worked Friday night. I did not work.
I had a
worked
fantastic thrift shopping day with my mom all day yesterday. It was great.
Okay, whenever you want to hang out with your mom, it's fine. I'm just kidding. I love her.
Shout out, Mom.
She's
had
our
a
number one listener.
fantastic day. She actually got a little bit of pre-shift on some of the topics we're going to be talking about.
Oh, I'm
because
jealous.
We discussed a few
Mom's got to
things.
hear it before I did.
Yeah, before anybody else.
Upset.
Yeah, well, you showed up to my shift last week and stole a story from my floor. From my floor, you stole a story that I didn't hear and then fucking kept it from me.
Yeah.
For almost like fucking 2 hours until I could hear this story.
And then it got cut from the podcast. We're never going to tell it.
So now nobody gets to hear it. But the fact of the matter is she wasn't working. Kat was not working. I was working. It was my floor. In fact, I was in charge of that floor.
and
she arrives,
some wild shit.
overhears this fucking bonkers story, and then immediately tells everyone under me that they cannot tell me about it. And so I am now in the dark on a story that happened on my shift.
Even the person that it happened to
tried to talk to me. And he comes up and he's like, no, I got to tell you this, Bunny. And you're like, no, the fuck you don't. I'm going to tell it to her. Come tell me. And I'm just standing there like, I work here right now. You don't even work here right now. God, I was so offended.
Just in a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah, fuck you. Coming into my shift.
I know fucking everything, dog. When are people gonna understand?
Seriously. But like to steal that story from my ears, it was just, you ripped that away from me.
I'm so
like,
sorry.
No, you don't get to know until later. But that was bonkers.
Yeah, that
Straight
was a
up bonkers.
wild
Then
one.
I spoke to him about that today because he brought up something and I was like, I gotta talk to you.
You're like, wait,
actually,
actually,
story that I heard. Oh, that was so funny.
But yeah, so Friday night you worked, I did not. Saturday night I worked, you did not work because you were hanging out with moms. And then today I worked the day shift, you worked the night shift.
Yes.
So we've had very opposite schedules all weekend.
Entirely,
and
yeah. You didn't work all week.
Yeah, and this was my week off. So I've been, just at home dying a little bit inside with every passing moment. Doing that, and it was, kids back in school, so great. Now I gotta wake up super early to get to school. I don't even go to school. Why am I getting up early
Why
for
do I have
school?
to wake up? Yeah,
It's
I gotta
so
wake up,
annoying.
and then I gotta wake you up, and I gotta get you ready for school.
Why is he almost a teenager and I still have to wake him up for school? Like, you have a cell phone, set some alarms. What the fuck is wrong with
the
you?
hell?
Very annoying, but
My son waited until, it was Friday. My son waited until we are at his gate. Like, I drop him off at one of the little gates, right? 'Cause he's only in first grade, so I still walk him onto the campus and let him, walk to his class, and I wave to him, and it's all cute. He waits until we get to his gate to say, Mom. I go, yeah, what's up, sweetheart? And he goes, I forgot to put underwear on this morning. And I'm like, well,
Great.
I got a coffee date with Kat in like 5 minutes, so I guess I'll hit home, and I'll grab you some, and I'll bring them. And he goes, I don't want you to do that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do that. And he's like, I don't want you to. I can just go without. And I go, cool, free ball it, dude. Have fun. like you said, as long as nobody's pantsing him, he's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
It's not a big deal. But, seriously, bro, you wait until it's so... We have left the house. We have left the car across the street where I park, and you were going to wait until this, because there's even a chance I have underwear in my car. There's a lot of extra clothes of his that just scrambled throughout my car. We might have been able to fix this problem 10 minutes ago, but you waited until you have 4 minutes to hit your door to tell me that you don't have underwear on today? Get your shit together, dude.
My son told me today, I guess there was a lot of stuff. So he lost his pencil case. First week of school, he loses his pencil case.
Where?
Shit, I don't even know.
How?
What an absolute shithead. And so it has the whiteout, the highlighters, all the pens and everything in it. And he tells me today, he's like, Mom, I need to replenish this. I need to have it for tomorrow. And I'm like, well, we have a lot of, we bought the pack of whiteout, the 2-pack of whiteout.
Sure, yeah,
stuff,
you always
right?
have the extra.
Yeah, so I was like, go ahead and, put it all together. And then he tells me today, he's like, we don't have a red pen. And I'm looking at one and I'm like, is this not red? And he goes, no, that's orange. And I'm like, okay, you're colorblind. And it's close enough. So if anybody calls you on it, just be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm colorblind.
I thought this was red.
And he looks at me and goes, oh, you're right. And I'm like, bro, you got to use some of these things to your advantage. What are you doing?
Start lying now. What are you doing?
Just teaching him to lie. To authority.
Get with it. Well, it's so my son takes a water bottle to school, right? And he never drinks his whole water bottle. And I'm always like, dude, you're out running around. You should be drinking more water. So I've been adding the flavor packets to it, you know, to make it taste better for him. But the ones that I recently got aren't clear. They're fucking red. It's red. So it looks like fruit punch hanging out in his water bottle. I don't know if that's allowed on the elementary school campus or not, because for kindergarten, they told us just water.
Yeah.
But for first grade, they didn't say that. So I looked at him, I go, if anybody asks you, that's red water. That's all it is. It's red water, and if they want to talk to me about it, they can talk to me later. And then even my dad later was like, so you told him to lie. And I go, immediately, yes. Yes. When I tell you to, you lie. What?
You just don't lie to me, or you'll be in a lot of trouble.
Kids out here calling me out on all my shit anyways, so. So anyways, yeah, so.
Yeah, today so I remember, I don't have anything about yesterday. Yesterday was just a very average shift. It was, it was fine. Very cutesy, very demure.
Very mindful.
Very mindful. It was just a very normal shift. Nothing really happened yesterday, but today, oh my gosh, all of my guests, so chill. I had some of the coolest fucking guests.
That's great.
And yeah, for it being a full moon, that was really...
Well, you're lucky because you didn't hit the peak of the full moon, which I did.
Yeah, I did not. So most of my guests were really cool. I did have... certain tables were never going to tip me 20%. And I knew they weren't going to tip me 20% from the start. And that's totally fine. So I didn't make as much as I should have for how busy I was. We did almost over, I want to say it was 170 covers.
Wow.
For a Sunday day with 4 servers and a bartender.
That's a lot, yeah.
And it was crazy busy. The minute I clocked in, I had a full section. Within 5 minutes.
That was me when I got there too, during transition. I went from 0 to 5 very quickly.
So yeah, I immediately got double sat, and then 2 minutes later I got double sat again, and then I got more tables. So little Mr. Sassy host is, he keeps coming up to me, can you take this? Can you take this? Can I give you this? Can I give you this? And I'm looking around, and I am not the only one that is busy. Everyone is at beyond their limit at this point. Everyone has 7 or 8 tables. And he comes up to me at one point and he goes, I have another 3. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this. No. Like, absolutely not. I had 3 tables all closing out at the same time. I had greeted one table, a table of 6, still hadn't gotten their drinks. He had already sat me another table that I asked the bartender to greet. And then he comes up to me and he was like, so I have this other party. And I was like, no. Like, no, I can't do
Yeah.
that right now. And he ended up seating it in my section, you know, a couple minutes later because he just didn't have anywhere else to put these people. And I had not only the entire bar area, but was also starting to fill up in Cove.
Yeah.
Like, I was so busy. And
that was me that night that I ended up taking all the tables for the bartender because he was overwhelmed.
Yep.
And rightfully so. Like, any of us would have been overwhelmed back there at that moment. But they're like, yeah, we sat this for the bartender. Can you greet it? And it's just like, no, I have to take that. Like, I'm at capacity, but also I have
So
to
is
take
he,
it.
yeah.
Like, he can't leave. There's
Yeah.
no leaving. I'm going to leave this table alone for way too long if I leave it to him, you know?
Yeah, so I was just kind of running, you know, just trying to get everything done and, you know, make sure that the food was in. And to be fair, nothing came out bad. Like, the kitchen was on top of their game today.
Awesome.
It was fantastic. The expo was on top of it. It was our bar manager was expoing. So everything came out perfect. You know what I mean? Nothing came out of the kitchen wrong. And I didn't enter anything in wrong. Like, I didn't accidentally put like mac and cheese when they wanted mash or anything, you know, wild like that. Like, I didn't have a single comp today for any reason.
Good.
So that was totally chill. Loved it. But I was just busy. I was just at capacity for, you know, the entire shift from the moment I clocked in until the moment until the moment my relief got there. I was at capacity.
Jeez.
And it was very busy. And at one point I noticed.
Not very cutesy.
No, not very cutesy. Not very mindful. And I noticed the busser is like walking through my section, standing at terminals and drinking water in the bev station and just, you know, not doing anything. And while I have dirty tables. And I was like, okay, so I pay you 2% of my sales for you to ignore my section because you might have to take a plate back.
Right.
Like a dessert plate and a couple of water glasses.
Yeah, and water glasses are allowed. So.
And don't get me wrong, I understand that we're meant to bust down to the wood.
Sure.
But when I have 8 to 9 tables, you know, sometimes 1 or 2 plates that they were still working on when they paid
are gonna get left behind.
Like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
If they asked me for a box and I gave them the box and the check and then I run the check and the plate still, you know what I mean, they haven't boxed it up, I now have other tables that I have to
don't have time to get back to that.
Right.
And also, I have 8 tables. You, as the busser, have none. And the ones you're waiting to clean, you're waiting for me to pick up a plate off of.
Right.
So why don't you just...
Nope. And I was talking to a manager about it today, and they were saying that...
Who was it?
Yeah, so...
Giggles McGee.
Yeah, Giggles is on, you know, just having the time of his life and just being a little petty bitch like he is. And I was talking to a manager about it today, and they were saying, you know, earlier today, he was sitting there doing butters. So the bussers, a part of their side work is to ball butters and put them in the ramekins for us to go with bread and stuff like that. And he was doing butters and he's just hanging out on the line and he's going, you know, at his own pace. And the manager had set up 4 different tables worth of food.
Oh, no.
On trays. And the busser's just sitting there giggling, doing his butters. And the manager had to be like, hey, can you help, like, run this food? And I'm like, he's been here, what, 7 years?
Yeah.
6 years? 5 to 7 minimum. He's been here a long time. You're telling me that he had to be told to run food?
No, he knew he should be running food. He just didn't want to.
He was in a mood today and he just wanted to be a petty little bitch and not do his fucking job and, you know, kind of force people to see like their errors or whatever. And he wasn't going to bust my tables unless I had busted down to the wood. And more often than not, my tables were bust down to the wood because we're busy as hell and I need these tables sat. And, you know, sassy host isn't going to walk up to Giggles and be like, hey, I need you to do this. Like, he doesn't have that, you know what I mean?
He also shouldn't have to.
He shouldn't have to, but he also, I don't think that he feels like he can yet.
Right, but like, so the standard is to bust down to the wood, absolutely. But there has to be a limit to that.
There has to be a point in which
that's not... it's not physically, like, I'm not capable of doing that. Or, like, God forbid I leave a bar glass because the person was still, in fact, finishing their beer, and then it gets set at the end of my table. So you have cleaned this table, quote unquote, cleaned it, reset it with new plates and everything, but you're going to leave that dirty beer glass still at the table. That table's not clean.
Yeah, no, it's still dirty.
It's still dirty because you decided to leave somebody's old beer glass there out of spite instead of just taking it to the bar, which in your section today was so fucking close.
Ray's right there. So that annoyed me. Like, that annoyed me. What made me mad to the point where I was talking to people was when Auntie M was on the line and she looks at 2 plates and she sees that it's my table. I have a full tray of drinks and I'm going to grab bread. And she goes, "Hey, do you want to grab this?" And I said, "No, I have too much stuff to do right now." She is cut.
Right.
She is doing side work and she is finishing off tables.
Right.
She then goes up to the line, grabs her ticket, bumps it, grabs her food, and walks out.
No. You take what's ready first.
Was so mad. Like, and I literally, as she's walking out, I look over and I go, "Are you fucking joking me?" Like, that blew me away.
Right.
That she would look at me and be like, "Hey, do you want to take this food is for your table?" Cool. I'm
Great.
so busy right now.
Yeah, there's also not your table or my table. We've discussed this
It's a
so many
team.
times. You run what's out there first, especially if you have the moment.
Right. Oh,
or
my
grab
God.
somebody else. If I can't do it in that moment because you see me and I'm busting ass, then grab somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, then I get there. And my transition was, I arrive and I went from 0 to 5 tables very quickly. And because I was told, so I got that one. It was just a one top, no big deal.
Yeah.
And then I'm told from the host, "Hey, so it's kind of like a triple seat." And I go, "Okay." And he was like, "Oh, there's 2 outside." I said, "You're not talking to me. Like, I'm not going. It's 95 degrees outside. You're not talking to me." But I'm joking, right?
Right.
And so it's like, "Oh, it's, this table and this table. You've got to get those." And I said, "Okay, great." So I go and I get those. While I'm going to get, because now they're just one table in my head. I'm just going to get both of them. It's 4 and a 2 top. So now I have a 6 top. I'm just going to take that right now.
Yep.
As I am greeting the second of those 2 tables, I'm getting sat another table. So I walk in past sassy, wonderful host, and I look at him and I go, "So that's a quadruple seat. You do understand?" And he goes, "What's that?" And I said, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a quadruple seat.
They all have menus on the table still?
Yes.
Yeah.
And 3 of them don't even have drinks yet. That's a quadruple seat because all I was able to provide for the one lady is her water. She has not ordered anything yet. So, just be aware.
That's crazy.
And he was like, "Oh, okay, ha ha ha, yeah, I guess so." And it's like, ha ha ha, yeah, great. And then
at that time, I remember somebody was telling me that you got quadruple sat because I was still on, right? I didn't have any tables. I was doing side work, but somebody told me that you had gotten quadruple sat.
Yeah.
And I looked over at lounge and she had 2 tables. And I'm like, why does she have 2 tables?
I don't know if they didn't want to sit in the lounge. Like, I understand the people outside. Like, okay, those are going to go to me because we don't have an outside server yet, whatever.
Okay, but then
But
why
like,
not?
why did that 4 table not head into the lounge? Did they really not want it? I don't know. But then I got a 5th table.
Oh my
And that's
gosh.
when Morning Hammer comes up to me, gorgeous, who we love.
Yes.
There's nothing, no fault on her. But she looks at me and says, "Hey, when you have a minute, let me know because I have some tables for you." And I said, "No, you don't. You don't. I can't, at this very moment in time, I cannot take tables from you so that you can go home. I can't." I was like, "Why don't you just stay and make your money?" Like, I'm sorry, but these are the transitions that we talk about as being hammers where shit just gets out of control so fast.
When there's only 2 people on, yeah.
Right, and management's switching hands too, because then we have our nighttime managers on, and then they're discussing their day with the day managers and this and that. So it's like, it's too much happening, and all the morning people are cut, so they're fucking off.
Yeah.
Including Auntie M. And then she hears, so I'm in the beverage station, she hears me talking about how, why couldn't we have just had one of these tables wait for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need 20 minutes. You don't need to put anybody on a 20-minute wait, but please give me the amount of time to deliver all the drinks to all of these 4 tables before you seat me that 5th. Because and at this point, I have been clocked in for 11 minutes.
Yeah.
So in 11 minutes, I went from 0 to 5 tables. So
That's
I'm just
crazy.
like, that 5th table couldn't have waited 5 more minutes.
And the 3rd person was coming on at 4:15, so it's like
Right,
they
and-
couldn't have waited until that, you know what I mean?
Just give
Like,
it to
I'm
the
so
next
sorry.
person. Or, God forbid, somebody else greet it. I don't know. But so I'm saying all of this in the beverage station, and Auntie M's like, "Well, what are they thinking? Like, why couldn't they have just had them wait a minute?" And I go, "I don't know." And she's like, "Well, they could have sat me. I'm still technically here. I'm on."
No, you're not. You're cut. You've been cut for hours.
Yeah, and immediately I was like, "No, you're not snaking a table from me. Would you greet it? Because honestly, in her eyes, if she greets a table, it's her table."
No.
And it's like, "No, could you just greet it for me? Like, that's all I need. Can you just help out instead of just helping yourself?" And
I don't think she can.
I don't think she
No.
can. So yeah, tonight we were really busy from like 4 o'clock to about 5:30, 5:45. We had a very early pop, and it really popped off. Like, the minute everybody got on, it was like, "Hey, you have an 8 top. Hey, you've got this. Hey, you've got this."
Oy.
And we filled up in that time. And then after about 6:30, we pretty much died out. And it was just like a regular slow-ish Sunday.
Okay.
And I get it. It's the last, night of the fair. And so it's like that takes a lot of our business on the first weekend and the last weekend.
Yeah.
And so it was like it died out, and that was fine. But like that pop, like it really popped off. But everything went out fine. I didn't really have any like difficult guests or anything, but
Difficulties with the kitchen?
No, kitchen went fine. I didn't have any issues. So, something that's new that came up tonight was the runner came up to me and he said, "Hey, can you ring in bread for 75?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll get right to that, but I'm carrying, refills out to my table." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll get right to that." So then I dropped my refills and I greet a new table that I have, and then he meets me at the side station. And he's like, and I look at him, I go, "Oh, I'm going to ring that in right now. I'm so sorry." And so I went to hit the no make button. He goes, "No, no, just send it." And I go, "Do they not have their bread yet?" And he said, "No, I'm not allowed to take it out yet."
Until it's sent?
Until somebody rings it in. And keep in mind, this is just a refill of bread. So I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, I was specifically told by kitchen manager that I cannot run anything if it hasn't been rung in."
Wow.
And I'm like, "So you had to come and find me, not once, but
Multiple
twice,
times
to make sure that it got rang in when I could have just gotten the bread. In this time, I could have gotten the bread for the table."
And let's be real, like, that's hindering the guest experience.
Right,
Like, that's
because
not...
now, and like he told me later, so the runner comes up to me later and he's like, "Yeah, like, I also disagree with this decision that they're making. Like, yes, I understand that these things need to be rung in for inventory purposes. I'm all for that. But why can't the server do it later if when I walk up to the table, I'm asking that table, 'Is there anything else I can get for you?' They say bread and I go, 'Okay.' And then they see me running food to 6 more tables.
Yeah.
And they never get their bread. Now I'm the liar." And I was like, "Yeah, I feel for you, dude. I absolutely get that, because the tables around are watching you deliver and they're like, 'Oh, I guess I'm not getting my bread.' And nobody ever came to me to say that bread isn't ready or that we're out of
Yeah.
bread or anything else. I'm just watching other people get the things they need and I'm not getting what I need."
Yeah, when it takes a whole, like, 6 to 10 minutes to get, like, the smallest side of ponzu sauce or bread or whatever that they asked for when somebody dropped off their food, and it takes that long for it to get to the table, that's hindering the guest experience.
And I totally agreed. I was like, "That's super frustrating." And I was like, "Okay, well," I asked him, I said, "You're clocked in as a runner?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "So can maybe you pick up the table?"
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question.
Yeah,
Is
I was
why
like,
couldn't
"Can
he
you pick up the table and ring it in?" And he goes, "Oh, I might be able to do that." Now, this is not to his fault. I don't think he's ever had to do that before. Like, pick up a table to ring anything in, because I don't think...
He's had a couple of server trainings, because he's moving up to server.
Right, but as a runner, I don't think he's ever had to pick up a table to ring something in for a server. He has been told by other people, not that... I don't think this is a fault of his own. I think it's literally just he didn't know that he could do that and that it would be like that would be okay. Because obviously he's never encountered the situation where somebody asked for alcohol, or he would just go and tell the server. Because he does come to me a lot to tell me that I need to ring something in. Even if it's not a sauce. Even if it's like, "Oh, hey, they actually wanted a side of spinach also. Can you ring that in?" And in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, I'll ring that in," because he doesn't have that much experience at it yet. So I wasn't like offended or bothered. I was just like, "Hey, here's how you can do that. You can pick up the table, you can go to small plates, and you can ring in the bread." And he's like, "Oh, well then I'll just do that, and then I can head to the back and I can get the bread." And I go, "Yeah, that would be great." And I go, "Same goes for sauces." And I was like, "Same goes for refills on alcohol drinks."
Yeah, literally anything.
So I just don't
He
think...
could put in a whole
I don't
fucking
think
order
he
if
was
he wanted
told
to.
that. Like, I know he knows that he can ring in food because he rings in to-goes.
Right.
But I don't think he was ever told that he could pick up a table and ring something in, and that would be okay.
Interesting.
It didn't have to be his table, or he didn't have to start a new table,
Oh.
I don't think he was aware of that. Because watching him, like, I had him swipe his card and then I walked him through it. And we're totally dead at this point. But after all of that, it was just like oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, because if it physically has to be rung in before it's allowed out of the kitchen, fine. Is that annoying? Fuck yeah. But fine.
Yeah,
and other bussers who are food runners do.
Yeah, that's why I was
like at
like,
least
I
two
knew
of
they
them do.
could.
I don't think server's fiance ever does. I don't think he's ever picked anything up, like
No,
a
but
table up or anything like that.
He doesn't
Run?
Not that he doesn't run food, but I feel like the shifts that he's on, he's usually with a second busser.
Right.
And so he's the one that's like focusing on the tables
Sure.
and stuff like that. He's not.
But
the
I just
one
mean, like,
that's
I know, so maybe coming from a busser to even the server training that he's had, I don't think anybody's ever walked him
which
through
is like
that.
it's like 1 or 2 shifts, isn't it? It's not
it's only been 2 or 3, if that, and maybe that situation hasn't come up.
Yeah, maybe.
Where I walked up to a table and was like, "Oh, hey, was there anything else I can get? Oh, it's going to be an extra wine. Okay, let me go ring that in."
Yeah.
Because I was trying to tell him you don't always have to hunt down the server. It doesn't have to be that way. But otherwise, it was a mostly uneventful night. I did have an interaction with the new bar manager. So he grabs me. He says, "Hey, Bunny, can you come here for a second?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Like, I'm not doing anything." So we walk over to the bread station, and he goes, "So when you're on the floor, when do you think it's acceptable to ask for help? Like, where are you in your, like, in your station or in your shift when you need to ask for help?" And I'm like, "Well, am I inundated with tables? Or, like, is a table asking me 1,000,001 questions, but I actually really need that drink to be ran to this other table? I might flag someone down. Or I might grab somebody real quick and be like, hey, can you print a check for this table while I go greet my new table?" You know, and he goes, "So, but you have tables." And I go, "Yeah, I have to have at least 5 for me personally before I'm asking for any help." And he goes, "Okay, so if you had one table." And I said, "One? You mean I'm not doing everything for my one table?" He goes, "That's exactly my point."
Who is he talking about?
I didn't know, and I still don't know for sure.
Is
But
he talking about terrible bartender?
he looks, she wasn't on tonight. He looks at me and he goes, "I'm sure you can guess who I'm referring to, but yeah, it was one table." And then he turns and walks away. I'm thinking that it was Mrs. Paranorman. I'm not
Maybe.
positive, but of the people who were on today, at that moment in time, who possibly only had one table, because I made a mental note to, like, go up to the host stand and see who had one table, because I'm nosy as shit.
Absolutely.
And now I want to know. I'm thinking it was her or it was blonde server. It was one of two. But
I
blonde
don't- yeah, I
server
was gonna
doesn't ask
say-
for help almost ever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but I don't think I've ever heard Blondie asking someone for help. Like, she just
Almost.
rocks it.
Yeah, she
Like,
just rocks out and she just makes people wait, which we've said before. Like, good on you. Like,
she's like, they'll get it when they get it.
Yeah, it's just 0 fucks given. And honestly, like, good for you.
No,
and that works for her.
Great energy. Like, I love it.
I don't know how much everybody else loves it, but I think it's hysterical.
But I don't think
so
I've ever
I'm
asked.
guessing Mrs. Paranorman is what I concluded on.
Maybe based on the people, if, the person that was in lounge tonight, her fiance was working as well. So would she have, like, I don't know. She was waiting to run drinks and asked her fiance, like, hey, can you go grab Fred for this table or something? And bar manager overheard that.
No. He was asked to do something.
Oh.
That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, I couldn't see her
The vibe
doing
I got
that.
absolutely was that because I ask him for favors all the time because he's so willing to help, and I love that. Same with server manager.
Yeah, but it has to be in a situation where it's
if
like,
they're the first person I see and they look like they're not doing fuck all, I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I ask our managers to do shit all the fucking time.
Yeah, that's
because I'm inundated and you're walking around happy as a clam. Like,
yeah.
You're going to do this.
You're my support team.
Yeah, you're my
guests.
support team
Like...
and you're going to do it. And so, but I think he was asked but like I said, I think it irked him a little bit because I think he surveyed the situation and went, hey, you have one table. Why are you pulling anyone, me or anyone
Yeah,
aside
that's wild.
to say, hey, can you get my drinks? Or, hey, I don't know what he was asked to do. I don't know what the favor was. But the way he phrased it was, where are you in your shift when you need to ask for help? And I said, well, shit, I guess I'd have to have at least 5, if not 6 tables. And I probably need something like, can you help me start clearing this table? Or, hey, can you make sure those drinks get out because I got to go get this whole order for the 7 top.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm asking for help. Is it because I literally can't be in 2 places at one time? But if I have one table, I'm all of those places.
Yeah.
What
else are you doing?
The only places I have to go are for that table.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I did find that it was like a very interesting interaction that I was like, ooh, good to know.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
Miss Paranorman is she asks a lot of questions, and to her credit, she's not wrong to ask them. Like, absolutely get your knowledge. Like, there's no stupid questions in my eyes for the most part. But so it's like, yeah, ask all your questions, do all this. But I don't think she just asked a question. Or whoever it was. I don't think they just asked a question. I think they asked for a favor. Like, can you get this or can you handle this for me when all I have is one table? What's going on?
I mean, the only way I could excuse that if that one table was like a party of 12. And you said, like, hey, can you follow me with this bread? Or,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
but
that's
it absolutely
the only
was not. So that's why I'm like, ooh, I don't know. But I was interested in why he asked.
Yeah.
Like, because he's very, like, intuitive and he's picking up on a lot of stuff since he's been here.
Yeah, he really is.
And he did come from a much, much busier location.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things probably stand out to him. And good, they should.
Yeah, he can fix them, yeah.
Right, and so I was just like, oh. So I have a bit of a saga to tell you.
Okay.
I think you know bits of it. Several weeks ago, like I'm going to put it 4 to 5 weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
I was out, and I think I told you about this, but I was out and I had brunch with my boyfriend.
Okay.
And we sat outside on a patio table, and there were flies around, as there is, right? And, like, no big deal. But when they dropped our food, this establishment offered us this little fan that makes no noise, and they put it at the end of our table. And for the rest of the time that we sat outside with that little fan going and eating our food, and then even after we were done eating, I did not see another fly for the rest of the time that we were there.
Mm-hmm.
And I clocked that, and I was like, that's really cool. And then it was the following day, I went to lunch with my mom. And at this indoor establishment, like we sat inside at the bar, in their like little bakery area, they had multiple of these same fans.
Right.
And I thought, wow, look at that. They're using this to keep the flies away from it because they don't want to land on anything if there's like moving air, right?
Right.
And we use fans at the doors and everything else, like that's how we keep flies away. So I had seen them and I thought this would be fantastic for the bar to keep the flies away. You're smiling. Do you already know?
I know a little bit, and I have a great story to tack onto this because it's
Perfect. Well,
fucking fantastic.
Let me tell you. So I find these fans on Amazon. And I come to work that night after being with my mom. I come to work after that, and I tell server manager, who was then our host manager.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, look at this. I think it would be a fantastic, like, obviously, it's not a like health code violation or anything if other food establishments are using them. And I think it would be a great way. We could post them up around the garnishes since we have open garnishes all day.
By the bar,
and that like stand that holds all the fresh fruit. That's not even cut, just like the fresh fruit that the flies tend to land on. And like, to our credit, they are not flies from outside. These are flies that happen in pretty much every bar across everywhere I've ever been.
They're just bar flies.
They're just bar flies.
There,
it happens. I get it. However, we have been inundated with them for a while. Like years and years. Summer's the worst time. Come winter, we're not going to fucking see them. The colder it gets, the less we see them. I get that. But during this time, when it's literally so bad that, we go to pour a beer and flies are flying away from those beer taps.
Yeah.
Like that.
Especially when guests are sitting right next to it. It's so
It's
bad.
embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
So I pointed out to him. He says, I love the idea. Send me the link. So I send him the link immediately. He says he's going to talk it over with general manager. I said, perfect. The next 2 days were his days off. So then I was at work with general manager and I was like, hey, I saw these fans. This is what happened. Here's my story. I think it'd be a good idea. She said, I actually really like that. Send me the link. So I send her the link. It's literally, you can get 4 of them on Amazon for like $19. Like,
right.
Nothing. Not a big deal. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then I check in the next week. I've now brought it up with other managers because I'm like, I feel like this is a good idea. I don't know. And so everybody agrees with me. Sounds like it'd be an easy fix, right? So I check back in with then host manager. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to run it by general manager. I go, well, I already had a conversation with her. She said she kind of liked it. I don't know where that landed. Like, you go ahead and let me know. And he's like, well, I'm going to talk to her about it. So then a week goes by and he comes to me and he's like, hey, I got the okay. I ordered them. I said, perfect. You got Amazon Prime? Are they going to be here in 2 days? Like, what's going on? So another week goes by and I go to him. It's like a Saturday. And I was like, hey, the fuck? Where are those fans at? And he's like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. I delivered them to my house, not to the restaurant. And I was like, well, yeah, I would too. Like, obviously, it's going to probably come faster. Plus, I don't know when they're going to deliver them. What if they deliver them when we're closed or whatever, you know? Because sometimes it's like today by 10 p.m. or whatever.
And sometimes it's at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure, yeah. Sometimes it's like some bonkers time that they're delivering shit from somebody's car. It's not even like an Amazon truck.
It's just some dude.
Some dude walked up to my house the other day from his pickup truck, and I'm like, who the fuck are you? What are you doing? It was my package. But besides the point, it's a pickup truck. Like, where are you keeping these packages?
Yeah,
I don't know.
fair.
It's like a t-shirt I bought. But that's not the point. So he's like, oh, they got delivered to my house. I forgot them. And I was like, okay, the following day. And he's like, don't even look at me. I forgot them again. And I was like, all right, whatever. So fast forward to just the other day. And I arrived to work. And I have not even clocked in yet. I have 2 minutes to clock in. And now server manager walks up to me. We call him fabulous server manager, right?
Fabulous manager, yeah.
Yeah, fabulous manager walks up to me. And he goes, hey, as soon as you clock in, head on into the office. And I go,
I hate that.
That's exactly what I said. I looked at him, I said, first of all, I hate that. And he's like, no. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Like, you're going to love this. Just clock in and then head in. I've got a little project for you. And I was like, fuck, dope. Okay. So I swipe my card. I clock in. I mean, I still have purse with me and everything. I go into the office and I'm like, hey, what's up? And so he goes, this is your project. And it's 4 disassembled fans. And, but I only see 3 of them. So it's 3 disassembled fans. And he's like, I'm going to set these up. You put the batteries in. You build them. You don't even really have to build them. You just have to
put the things on it.
Well, and they're like telescoping. So you have to like pull them up and then put the fan blades on them, right? And then put the batteries in. And I was like, okay, put them in the beverage station. And then he goes, all right. And then you set them up in the bar where you think that they would work best. And I will come and see when you're done if it's an appropriate spot to have these fans. And I said, okay, absolutely. So I put them together. I take them to the bar. I set it one up on either side of the garnishes. And I ended up having to put the one next to that like tower of fruit on a bar glass, like an upside down bar glass.
Yeah.
And so I even like made a note like, hey, we should probably get like a little black box or something, like
a stand. Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of little stand, because it needed to be taller than
the fruit. Yep.
So that the fans, the air, because the air blows down. And so I grab him. The bartenders are in awe. They're like, and then the blades are like the shiny metallic color.
Yep.
And so they like rainbow effect or whatever, but you can't even see them from, like, the guests aren't even able to see the fan blades, you know? And they are not in reach of any guests. Like where I place them, and then I even put one next to the other garnishes on the O bar. So again, out of reach of the guests, nobody's even like, and yeah, you can put your hand in them and it doesn't hurt. Like it's these super like flimsy little, and they don't even move that fast, you know?
Right.
So I set them up. Everybody's in awe. We're like, oh my God, it's so great. And so I bring out server manager and I was like, hey, you know, what do you think? This is fantastic. This is so great. Look at this. We are fly free. So at this moment in time, we are fly free. And so then every new person that comes in to clock in, fabulous server manager grabs them and goes, hey, as soon as you clock in, I need you to come to the bar and see what I did. I need you to see this fantastic idea that I had, and I ordered these wonderful fans for the bar so that way we don't have any more flies flying around the garnishes. And he's doing it in front of me, of course. Yeah, and I'm just like, so at one point, Paranorman walks in and he gets the whole spiel from fabulous manager, and I go, oh yeah, you ordered them, but whose idea was it? He goes, that's irrelevant, that's not really part of it right now. And to which Paranorman was like, I take it was your idea. And I was like, it in fact was. And again, fabulous manager is like, I don't see how that matters right now, but anyways. And so
I love him so
I love him so much. It was such a good time, right? Like everybody's having a good time. So fast forward like 15 minutes later, and general manager comes out. She sees where they are and says, absolutely not. We have to take these down. They cannot be here. So I don't know what's happening. I'm now busy with tables. I'm doing my job. I'm taking care of things. I'm the hammer. So I'm not even in the bar area. I can't see what's going on. So she walks up to me with fabulous manager. They both walk up to me and they go, hey. General manager goes, hey, that's not going to work. We can't have those there. And I go, well, what do you mean?
Can I? So.
No. You have to wait for this next part.
I need to interrupt you.
No,
with this
you
part.
can't. You can't. You have to hear the next thing I'm going to say.
But I think I know what you're going to say.
I don't
and
care.
That's why I have to interrupt you.
No, you can't. I need to say this is the most important part of the whole fucking conversation.
But mine too.
No, you have to wait. No. It's my story. You stole my story last week. This is my story. Let me tell it.
Okay.
Let me tell it. So she goes, we can't have them there. And I was like, well, why? And she's like, well, I didn't know that you were going to put them on top of the bar. To which my response is nothing. I don't have nice enough words to say, where the fuck did you think they were going to go?
Yeah, they're fans.
You saw the picture. You heard my story explaining how they work and where they were, where I saw them. What do you mean? Did you think I was going to put a fan on the floor and it was going to magically keep flies away from the garnishes on top of the bar? What? So I say nothing. I just go, okay, because I there's no nice way for me to say what the
do you
fuck?
Mean? Yeah.
What do you mean you didn't know? So I go, okay, with our job, anytime they implement something new, they give us a breakdown of why we're doing this new thing.
Yes.
And so I looked at her and I said, give me the why. Because that's how we run, right? We always get the why of why is something changing? Why is the standard being...
What is changing?
Right. What is changing? Yeah. Why... and how it's going to go about being implemented. Okay. Right. And so I asked her, I said, okay, give me the why. And she says, well, so keep in mind, fabulous manager standing right next to us. And she goes, well, it's in view of the fans are in view of the guests, and that's not okay. And I look at her, and with my whole chest, I say, well, the flies are in view of the guest. Is that not worse?
So
she just looks at me and she goes, well, we're working on it. And I go, are we?
obviously not, because
We haven't been working on it.
No,
it
nobody
wasn't
has.
until I brought something up for, I don't know, the umpteenth fucking time. And now I have a solution that I think is reasonable. Like, I don't think a single guest would walk in that restaurant and be like, ew, they're preventing flies. I hate that.
Yeah.
What? What are you talking about? So that's all I said. I was just like, well, the flies are in view of the guests. Is that not worse? Is that not worse? And she's just like, we're working on it. And I'm sure they fucking might be. I don't know. So then Fabulous Manager looks at me and he goes, yes, I'm really sorry we can't. And he's like, so would you like to take a fan home? And I said, yeah, I'm taking a fan home. This was my idea. And then there's a pause, right? Because it's still all three of us. And I go, and I'm not paying for it. And she laughs and he goes, nor should you have to. Like, at this point, it's null and void, you know?
So the very next day, I go into the office.
Yes.
Fabulous Manager is in there, and I see the fans.
2 of them, because I took 2 home.
Yes, so I see the fans on the desk, and I go, oh, the fans are here. So I walk in behind one of the bartenders, and she's like kind of looking at the fans. I see the fan, and I go, oh, the fans, they're for the bar. Fabulous Manager goes, not anymore. GM nixed it, said we can't have them. And I looked at him, I was like, why? And he goes, because they're in view of the guest. And I was like, oh, but the flies are?
Yeah, thank you.
I was like, oh, but the flies can? And he looks at me and goes, you know what? Honestly, almost exactly the same words and the same tone. But he said the same thing. And
Hive mind.
I was like, Fabulous, we're hive mind. You should know this by now. And he was like, I'm learning.
It's one thought. Kat cut her hair this week on the day that I was going to go get a haircut. This is how, not the same haircut.
No,
not the same haircut,
yeah.
but still, you're like, I cut my hair. And I was like, bitch, I was about to cut my hair. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, no, and I knew that's where you were going with that. That's why I was like, no, you have to hear what I'm going to say. You have to hear it first, because I said it first.
You did say it
and
first.
And they're my fans. It was my story. It was my idea. So it's just, this is 5 weeks in the making just to have 15 minutes worth of, and literally, like, the people who saw it were like, wow.
This is incredible, yeah.
And it worked immediately.
Of course it
immediately
did.
worked to keep the flies scuttered away, and they were gone. We did not see them again for that amount of time. Now, I would like to put one next to the beer taps as well, but obviously that's right next to a guest. I'm not going to do that. There's no way that we can function like that. So I was like, maybe we can get like an essential oil or something to put on the beer taps so that they don't want to land there. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to come up with fucking solutions.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Anytime we encounter a problem at work, I try. I'm trying to give, things. But basically what it comes down to is, on the corporate level, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
But it doesn't look bad either. Like, those fans,
they make zero sound. They're pretty.
Yeah.
They're pretty to look at. And honestly, if you weren't really focusing on it, you wouldn't even know what it was.
Right.
It just looks like a black little tower standing there. You can't, when it's running from a certain angle, you can't even see the blades.
Yeah,
so you don't
the
even
guests
know.
that were sitting down definitely wouldn't have been able to
They can't even
it,
see the blades moving because there's no reflective part on the bottom, you know? And so I was just like, okay, great. So now I have 2 fans at home for if I ever want to sit outside and have a nice meal, I guess.
I just thought it was so funny when he was like, almost the exact same sentence and tone.
And tone.
Bunny said the same thing yesterday.
Yeah, because we're thinking logically with our fucking brains. Who knew?
Yeah.
So I take the fan home and I'm showing my dad when I get home. And I was like, hey, do you want a fan for when you sit outside and have a little snack? And he's like, what fan? I have already turned it on by the time I walk to him. So I am holding a tower that is on. And he goes, what fan? And so I was like, this, like, do you want one? Because I have 2,
Yeah.
So I was like, do you want one of these? And he's like, what the fuck are you holding? Because what I didn't understand is from where Dad was sitting,
he couldn't see it.
He couldn't see
the blades.
it. He couldn't see the blades. So I turned it to turn it off. He goes, oh my God, it's a fan. And I was like, are we having the same conversation?
No. Never. Not with Dad. That's really frustrating. For 5 weeks in the making for her to give the okay, and then for her to say, like, oh, well, it's in view of guests. Like, where did you think these were going to go?
Where did you think it was going to go?
Did you think we were going to attach them to the ceilings?
Well, even better, did you think I was going to put it down on, like, where the bar, where the alcohol
ices and
goes?
shit?
Yeah, where the
Yeah.
ice and the alcohol goes.
The well.
Yeah, just set it in the well, and that was going to magically keep flies away from the top area.
Garnishes? Yeah, no.
What? I don't understand.
The amount of times that I've told a regional bar manager that our garnishes should be on ice.
Should be on ice.
And we've been told by every regional bar manager, oh yeah, every other location has their garnishes on ice. We have a full thing that's like meant to be sent to you guys for that. We'll get that sent out. And then it was never sent out.
No. And this is going on 4 years of we don't have, and it's like, okay, we do.
Why we consider ourselves like the redheaded stepchild of this, you know, company, because we have been asking for things that we need for our jobs from, you know, corporate, and they're just like, oh, of course we'll get that for you, and then they don't.
Well, and it's like, so we have these glass jars that we put everything in because they match.
Fancy.
Yeah, they're fancy. They match the vibe of the bar or whatever. And so we put everything in glass jars. And yeah, we have lids for most of them, but not for all of them.
Yeah.
And then even then, it can be a hassle throughout your very busy shift to be moving those lids around because they're mason jar lids, but they're glass. And so we're moving these glass lids around just so that we can get these garnishes out for the guests. But at the end of the day, there's still flies around. Like, they're not landing necessarily in the garnishes every time, but they're also not landing in the garnishes.
Yeah.
So,
and on the fruit tower where we keep the fruit that eventually does get put into a garnish because we're peeling those oranges and those lemons and stuff. Yeah.
So it's like, and I've asked before, I'm like, can we just get rid of the tower then? Like, is that tower that important? We could have those lemons and oranges on ice.
In the well, yeah.
And keeping them at least bare minimum, they're not getting landed on. But no, we have this fancy little wooden tower that every location has.
Great.
So this is just a funny little snippet. When it comes to, obviously, servers, we use pens.
Yes.
And we have to have a certain number of pens. It's 5 at our location, but at other restaurants I've worked at, it's been a different number, or you have to have, you know, a certain type of pen.
I'm used to 3.
Mine, other places have been 4, and some didn't care color or type or whatever else. A couple places that I work, one place that I work specifically, it had to be blue or black. You could not hand a guest a colored pen, like that wrote in colored ink. It could be pink or purple or blue on the outside, but it needed to write in blue or black ink. And then even one of the places I worked at, it had to just be a black pen. Like, even the outside couldn't be, you know, like, it couldn't have smiley faces on it or rainbows or anything else. Like, it literally had to just, we're handing them to guests. One of the places provided us with pens.
Yeah.
And a lot of the places, they prefer, like, we as servers, I prefer a clicky pen. Because then I can put it in my apron and it holds there. Like, anything with a cap, like, fuck off. I'm losing that cap.
It's so annoying because the minute I pull it out to try and take an order, I'm like, oh, fucking
yeah, what do I do with this cap? I can't put it in my mouth. I gotta, like, put it something in my apron and then I lose it. And now I just have, like, loose pens everywhere, you know. And everybody kind of handles their pens a little bit differently, right? Like, how many they have or what colors they have here, it doesn't seem to matter as long as you have 5 pens. Like, that's all that it comes down to. And so everybody knows, who's been in the industry knows the struggle of keeping pens.
Yes.
Because whether coworkers take them or whether guests take them, like, you don't necessarily want to bring your nice pens to work because then guests take them. And I've had it, like, I've literally watched people put my pen in their purse.
Yeah.
And I've walked up more than once in my serving career and been like, oh, and if I could just get that pen back. Because it's one of the 3 that I have on me today.
Yeah.
And I fucking need that back. Like, you don't need it. Also, or I'll joke with people and I'll be like, oh, or you can go ahead and add on an extra $5 for the pens that I now have to buy. Like, ha ha ha. To the tip. Like, the original tip is for what I did, and then you're going to pay me $5 more for that pen. If you really want it, it's yours for $5.
Yeah.
Because a pack of pens is like at least $5, you know?
At least, yeah. For like 2 pens.
Sure.
It's absurd how expensive pens are nowadays.
Well, and I prefer to write with some that aren't going to smudge everywhere. Like, I'm big on how fast does it dry, you know? Like, the gel pens are great unless they smear everywhere. Or, like, you know, you don't necessarily want to be writing with glitter pens. I can't always see that everywhere or whatever.
Yeah, no.
So the other day, one of our things that we do is if somebody has a card down, we run that check for somebody. Whether it's your table or anybody else's table, we run the check. So I had run a check for Mama Bear, and I set it down. She was in the station next to me. Right. So we, like, shared one table in our section, right? And so I had set it down, and then I came back to her like 20 minutes later because I didn't have a chance to go by and scoop back up my pen. Some people put their names on their pens. Like, that's how serious this shit gets, so that you know you're getting it back, you know? And so I went up to her and I said, hey, from 31, that was my pen. And she goes, oh, what? And I was like, yeah, it's blue. It looks like this one. And so I showed her the, like, recycled blue ones that I have. She takes a handful of pens out of her pocket and lays them across the terminal. And she doesn't have just one of my pens. She has 2. And I go, oh, okay, so those 2 are mine. And she looks at me and she goes, I'm going to be real with you right now. I started today with these 5 pens, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this one for this shift. And I went, I can't fault you on that. I didn't know she had that other pen.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, that's yours for today. And I said,
Yep.
cool, I'll get it back tomorrow. So we just left it at that and went about it. And like, I didn't care. I had enough of my own.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
I'm an absolute pen thief. If I see a pen anywhere, I'm putting it in my apron.
Oh my God, I give pens back to people all the time, especially because if people have pens that I don't like. I'm very particular about my pens. It's like I said, it has to be a clicky pen. The like cheap big pens, the gray ones that come with the caps or whatever, get that the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
One, it can't clip onto my apron without the cap, and also with the cap, it like pops off all the time.
Yeah.
And then the guests lose the cap, you know? And then again, I don't want loose pens, because then that's how you get the pens that bust open and then your whole apron's covered in ink.
Yeah.
You know, so like I don't fuck around with cheap pens, but I also don't buy super fancy pens anymore.
No,
I went
get
through a
mine from
phase.
Costco.
Yeah, now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you just got a Costco card. Relax.
Okay, but
That
even
was last
before
week.
then, you were giving me pens from Costco.
Yeah, okay, but still. So yeah, it's like really cheap pens. I'm like, I don't fucking want this shit. But my nicer pens, yeah, I'm gonna get that back from you. And so for a while, I was buying like the white pens that nobody else had.
Yeah, I
so
remember
that way I could go around and be like, that's mine. That's
You
my
could see
white.
it in
yeah,
the apron,
I
yeah.
can see it sticking out of your apron. That's my white pen. And then other people start buying the white pens. And I was like, oh god damn it, now I gotta get it. So then I got the periwinkle blue ones.
The periwinkle blue.
And then nobody had those. And so it was like, yeah, that's my periwinkle blue pen. And you know it is. But it was just really funny to watch her pull it out. And then she had like 7 or 8 pens, 2 of which were mine. And I was like, that's mine. She's like, well, I was like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah. No, I'll walk up to the host stand, and if there's a pen just sitting there, it's making its way into my apron. I don't even do it, like, it's so subconscious to me at this point that I'll just,
stealing pens left and right.
anytime because I'm so used to having, if a pen is in my hand, immediately when I'm done using it, or I'm done, like, playing with it or whatever, it goes in my apron.
Yeah, it's in my apron.
If I'm wearing that uniform and I'm holding a pen, my instinct is to put it in my
Sure.
apron. I've just been doing this for so long that now at this point, it doesn't click to me that that's not my pen.
Right.
I'm holding a pen, I'm talking to somebody, I'm clicking it, whatever, and then I go to walk away and I throw it in my apron.
Right.
And at the end of the night, I'll walk into work sometimes with 3 pens, sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah, against standard, 3 pens. And 2 hours into my shift, I have 9.
Right.
And I don't know where they came from. I don't remember ever putting them in my apron, but they're in my apron and now they're mine.
So we are entirely different when it comes to returning pens then,
Yes,
because
yes.
if somebody runs a card for me, I put that pen not with my pens, I put it on the other side of my apron, because I might not be able to find them right away, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially when a manager checks out my table and they leave their whatever fancy pen, this or that, I put it in the opposite side of my apron so that at some point during the night, I will get that pen back to that person.
No.
Like tonight, I found bar manager because he left this like awkward, gross looking blue pen. I didn't like it at all. It was like triangle shaped. I didn't like it one bit. It did not match my vibe. And so I was like, no, it's gotta go. Because I've like curated like the pens that I enjoy. And so I was just like, yeah, here, thank you. Like, thank you for doing that for me, but take this monstrosity away from me. So like I give pens back like left and right. Like I am like, and people love me for it. Like so many of our coworkers are like, thanks for getting that back to me, buddy. Like a lot of people don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of people cat. Apparently it's cat.
We could look at my apron right now, and I promise you I probably have a good 2 or 3 of your pens.
Oh, you do. You definitely do. But it's just, like I said, anybody who's ever worked in the industry understands like the pen dynamic and how it can go down. And like, yeah, sure, if a restaurant wants to give me a bunch of shitty pens, I'll pass those out to guests, but I'm not hanging on to them,
Yeah, I definitely have like 1 or 2 pens that are a little bit like, I like the way that they write a lot more. And so I gravitate towards those when I go to write down my orders.
Same.
But
Yeah,
then,
I have my pens and I have guest pens.
Yeah, and then any other pen. Like I do have a couple of shitty pens in my apron, and it's, hey,
yeah.
thank you so much for stopping in and hanging out with me today. I'll see you guys next time. You know what I mean?
If
like,
those go missing, I don't even bat an eye at it.
Yeah.
But I definitely like the Sharpie gel pens that are out
those
now.
Really nice, yeah.
The 0.5s I don't like as much, but the 0.7s, oh my god, it's such a perfect writing instrument. Like Sharpie, never stop making those pens, please. And if you could sponsor us one day, that would be great. I've spent so much money on your pen, Sharpie. Like I think like everybody goes for the Pilot G2s, right?
Yeah.
The Pilot
really
G2s are such a popular server pen, and I do like them. However, they smudge. They smudge super easily, especially if you're getting something like the 0.7 or the 1.0.
Yeah, and they take a minute to dry.
Yes, they take a while to dry. They smudge all over the place, and so like people's signatures are like smeared all across. Sometimes that tip line gets smudged.
And then you're fucked.
I don't fuck with that. No. those Sharpie gel pens, I'm all about. Absolutely. My entire row of pens right now is the Sharpie ones.
Yeah.
I got them at Costco. I got a massive pack at Costco.
That's what I have too, yeah.
Yeah, and I gave you some of mine that one day because I was like, here, I know you don't have enough pens. Please take some of these. But yeah, like I said, there's definitely some pens where I'm like, I don't want to hand this to anybody. This is my reserve pen. So I have 5, but 4 are for guests, and that one pen, that's for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm probably going to go pick up a pen off a table that has already left before I give that pen. Because it's metal. It's like an all metal barreled Sharpie pen.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one in your apron, yeah.
So that one stays with me. That's because somebody's gonna nick that so fast.
100%.
Like immediately. Like if I found that pen, that would be my pen. Oh no, I know. I keep a close eye. Especially now.
Oh.
All right, well, are you ready to check out?
I'm ready to check out for the last time
this season.
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
guys. Thanks for listening. We will catch you again next time.
Season 2, Rolling Silverware.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.